to see if anybody shows up. Still got that stupid sun. Let's try to move us this way. No, it doesn't work that way. I don't think it gets any better that way. I guess I could move. And not much I can do. So, I think it's better than it has been. I don't know. So, we'll wait. See if some people show up. Kind of get our Friday live in. And see what happens here today, tomorrow. And there, we're kind of good there. And someone popped in. Hey, what's happening? What's up? Yep. Okay, so things are working. And I still get that. It's right about in there. Not much I can do about it. It's kind of weird. There's not much light coming in and it's still putting up that glare. Hot enough for you? Nah. It's only 112 right now, so. No. But I am sitting under the air conditioning vent. So it is, yes, I'm indoors and I'm done with today and the next 2 days. Just watched your Expedition Explorer. Expedition Explorer. I don't know what that means. Okay. Nice cozy 71 here, yes. But I live in the land of no earthquakes, no tornadoes, and I don't have to worry about snow, ice. I don't have to worry about rain. So I'm kind of good with that. I'll take the 300 days of sunshine a year and the December, January hit 70 degrees. So that'll be fine. Yeah, just got a month or two to make it through all this here. So everything's climbing up. So welcome to another Legends Live. And please hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell if they're ever down there during this or afterwards when this uploads. Leave a comment if you want to leave a comment. Comment while we're working here because I can actually see the comments. If I lean forward to you guys, the 4 peaks with the old Peralta map. Sorry. Okay, I got it. No, I got it now. So remember, it's been a long day. I put in an 8-10 hour day, and then I jump in to do this and whatnot. But go to our About section. Now you'll see down on the main page, you'll see a section that says videos and playlists and all. If you follow that down, there's a section that says About. And you go to that, and it'll show our total views for the channel, but it'll also have a link into it to represent.com. That's where you can find the t-shirts. Legend of Superstition Mountains, Dutch Hunter Rendezvous, black, gray, long sleeve, short sleeve. So for anyone there, we don't make a dime off of it. So actually what we make more than a dime. We make very little, some change. When the change adds up, we buy a shirt, then we give the shirt away. So it really doesn't, we don't benefit from it in any way. But you can too. And they're really nice shirts, good quality. It's not like some cheap thin stuff with that's just got a cheap little like kid decal on it. No, they're really nice shirts, so they hold up really well. So there you go, shirts, subscriptions, comments, notifications, and here we are on Friday again, and you'll notice that I'm sitting here. Reverse the image here, so we got the Stratocasters and Les Pauls behind me and other things going on, but you will notice the bearded young wonder himself is not here. He is here though. He made it in at midnight last night. So he came in through Newark, New Jersey, and he made it back in midnight last night into Arizona. So he's home safe and sound. Problem is, to do one of these, he basically has to jump in here, film me, or put it together, whatever he wants to film, and then get it edited, process it together. Then it has to go through to upload everything, and then it has to upload into YouTube. And coming in, getting some sleep, and being able to do that and have that ready by 4 o'clock today wasn't going to happen. So he texted me this morning. He wasn't going to have time. That wasn't going to happen, and that I would have to do this. And I said, that's fine. All the way from Barbados. Cool. So there you go. So Trevor is home from Greece with his booty and whatever else, and his trinkets and so forth, and he is resting and relaxing from the long journey and so forth. So, and we're letting him be. He will have to get it together this weekend and something for Monday, but I'm going to give him a bit of a break on that and told him I don't have a problem with this. Even though, when you think about it, he actually got more sleep than I did, because I basically went out and got him, brought him home, got into bed, a few hours sleep, and then I was back on the road to work. And then I finished work, came home, and then just rested, cooled off just a bit, had a couple smokes, and then I come out and do this. So, not a lot to say. It's just kind of wearing, but especially today, 112 degrees, and we're in one of those 110 somethings. I think it's 112. I think it gets 113, 114 the next couple of days. So, lucky us. And yeah, 71 degrees, your high. Look at it this way. Our low is going to be 85 this weekend, so our low is higher than your high. So, but you know, hey, that's good. That's the meltdown, and that's the way it goes. And now we can harass you with a barrage of Dutchman questions. Sure, you can try. I don't always answer them. I mean, I'll sit there and then I'll try to catch up to them, and everybody will throw them out, and then I'll get distracted into one or the other. You can always ask me Dutchman-related questions. I'll always answer them. I try to always think I know what I'm talking about. And if I don't think I know what I'm talking about, I can make shit up, because that's exactly what all the rest of the Dutch hunters do, right? I shouldn't say that. That's not a nice thing to say, but it is true. So anyways, kind of processing through everything in the week. So we were keeping kind of most of the subject matter we wanted to talk into episodes and stuff moving forward. Kind of on the shelf. Looks like the first signs of monsoon building over Superstition's Can't. Monsoon's not coming. It's 9% humidity out there, which is basically, that's all of our sweat that's been pulled off our bodies that's in the air out there. There's no sign of anything. No, there ain't nothing coming. Those clouds, they're just your hallucination from being out there in the heat. So, and we don't really get monsoons like we did 30, 40 years ago. We just get some dust storms and a sprinkle of rain. So, it's kind of sad. And what do they call? They even got so bad that they had to rename them. Started calling them haboobs or habobs or something crap. It's like, yeah, we lost the good rains, and the rains have been coming in later and later. So we're probably not going to see it till sometime late August, early September. So we just got to sit down and realize the next 45 to 60 days is just going to be hot, and we're not going to get much relief unless we leave town. It is what it is. Get up. The hardest part, I think, at this point is waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and the sun's coming up, and you're driving in and you're running the air conditioning, and it just feels like there's just not that relief. So, but I will feel that relief come October, sometime down the road. Which November, is it 5th, 6th, 7th? 4th, 5th, 6th is the rendezvous. So it'll be that first weekend in November. So that'll be following Halloween, but that will be the rendezvous this year. Dust storm. Yeah, we can always call it that. We can call it dust storm, or it gets windy. It gets windy and moves stuff around. So the rendezvous will be coming up in November. And kind of the weather will be getting nicer by then. At least the evenings will be cooler, and the days will be much milder. So, got a ways to go though for all that. And our guest speakers I've mentioned before, and I'll start kind of talking that up as we go through the summer, will be Mr. Jesse Feldman on his book, The Dutchman's Trail, which used to be the Jacob's Trail, and it's changed and all that. But it's out there. Go down, pick it up at the OK Corral, pick it up at the Superstition Mountain Museum, pick it up at Goldfield Ghost Towns Museum and the Mercantile Store and wherever else he has it sitting around. Might even have a copy sitting in his truck you can buy off of him. That being said and done, and we're kind of moving through that stuff, and I'm kind of waiting for some questions, and someone throws up like there's going to be all these questions, and then there's no questions. And then I got to come up with things, and then when you go stream of consciousness, I just kind of all over the place, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should move these things back to my pickup truck. Heard an interview mentioning you grew up in Illinois. Didn't all catch all that highway. Okay, yeah, I did. I grew up partially in Illinois. I was born in Chicago, and I grew up in Lindenhurst and Waukegan. Well, not Waukegan, but my My parents were in Waukegan. I grew up in Lindenhurst, up, just even pinpointed even more off of Beck Road in Lindenhurst, Illinois. And came out here very early, so my time in Illinois was very brief. I do got family. Sorry, I got a lot of phlegm from the heat. It's like it literally melts things in your body. But yeah, but good memories from back there. But and we went back and spent some time there and have family back east in the Midwest. But yes, I am originally from Lindenhurst, Illinois. Do you think any of the various Dutchman maps ever? Okay, I think the Frank Fish map, which we call this the Peralta map, Frank Fish map, we use that on the show with the Gonzales map. Frank Fish map, I believe, is an actual authentic map. It's the only map I know of that we have the original copy. We have the actual original map. There were supposed to be two maps. Frank Fish said when he heard the Adolph Roos story, he decided rather than chase down the Gonzales family, he would chase down the Peralta family because that's who supposedly gave him to the Gonzaleses. He ran all through Mexico, located the Peralta family that had a map. He obtained the map from them, but they told him it wouldn't do him any good because there was two maps. There was two branches of the family, and each side had one of the maps for the mines, and they weren't sure how he could locate the rest of them. That'd be a good topic sometime, going through all the Frank Fish stuff. And I think we've done a little on the story, but going really in depth on Frank Fish, so I'll keep that in mind. But that map does exist. I've examined it. I tried to get it carbon dated. It's very old. Frank Fish got it a long, long time ago. He had it, passed it on to Erie Schaefer. She passed it on to Al Reeser. Al Reeser passed it on to the Historical Society. So the actual original map that Frank Fish got at one time from the Peralta family in Mexico still does exist. The original sample, it's not in the original condition by no means. They tried to stain it to bring out the writing and stuff, or drawings on it. They thought there might be something they couldn't read, and they kind of like turned it really dark brown. It had a really bad effect on it. It's still legible, it's still readable. It's very brittle. It has a different backing on it they tried to do to preserve it. I think Al Reeser at one time, someone told me he kept it folded up and kept it in his pocket. You can see it's much worse for wear, but it is preserved. That map does exist. I don't know of any other original map that has any lineage or authenticity that still exists. It's possible that the Dutchman mine could have been found but never disclosed in the gold. Well, that's always possible. That's always possible. Every treasure, Jesse James treasure, the Dalton gangs treasures, every treasure. 7 cities ago, there's always a possibility someone found something, kept their mouth shut. And I've always said, if you find it and you only need so much, take that and just leave some for the next guy. Why take it all? So the possibility is always there that someone found something, or someone could have found something and not really know what they found and not thoroughly checked it out. Someone might have found Waltz's camp, found one of the caches, not know what they found, got the ore, and just thought they found a bunch of, gold-bearing rock and stuff laying in the ground, not knowing being much of a prospector and stuff, and completely misjudged all that. And they could have made off with that and not realized how close they were. So the problem is communication. I mean, you got to think, for 100 some odd years, until only the last 10, 15 years, social media and so forth, and the forums and things that have happened, maybe the last 20, before all that, there wasn't much coordination or much communication, and people would keep secrets, and people would lie and keep information away. And even today, you got people that throw out disinformation. You have people for no other reason than just being assholes that go out and spread literally stuff they make up and try to say, well, this happened and this is what so-and-so said. And they've been doing that forever. And that's even worse, because what it is those people aren't really truly Dutch hunters. They're just trying to be inclusive into something like, well, hey, this is what I know. Someone told someone this. And like I've always said, I always do stuff and say, got it from this source, got it from that source, where things came from source-wise. There's things I believe in. There's a lot of things I don't believe in. And we touch upon that. I'm pretty honest about it, because I think that's kind of a great disservice to everybody when someone wants people to believe they're knowledgeable and they're just making crap up. And there are people that do that. And it's really a shame. I've really taken it upon myself to try to go through and eradicate some of that. So, which is to say, and if you're one of those people, when you've put things into archives and it's utter bullshit, I'm making sure that stuff is disappearing. And once you're gone, it will disappear utterly. It's about basically erasing you and your imprint that I can. Because what you did is you hurt other people and you changed the story and narratives that other people laid with lies. And I don't think it's right. You're not a Dutch hunter. You're a fictional writer, and there's no reason or purpose. There's no money in it for you. There's nothing else other than just ruining it for everybody else. And those people are pretty much just pieces of crap. And there are some of them out there. Chuck Crawford's not one of those. Bob Ward. Those guys dreamt. Chuck was kind of more of a con man, but there was stuff. I got someone walking up to the door. But you know, there was people that believed in things that necessarily I wouldn't agree with. You would say they kind of made up. Oh, do you ever remember when Roosevelt Lake went to its low? I remember when they were doing the lakes and draining the lakes years and years ago, and then there was all the black sand, and everybody was out there digging around and checking out, and we were looking for the arastras, and especially the drainages go up into the mountains, and we were trying to go. I wish at that time we would have been coordinated, and a lot of us would have went out with metal detectors and went at that much better. I think it was kind of like once we realized it, we were just kind of scattering around and checking stuff out. There was some prospecting and all that, but I wasn't. I was kind of just trying to find the arresters in some of the old sites that might have been kind of brought up or might, resurfaced and stuff. But it would have been great to go out there totally as a coordinated unit, metal detecting, prospecting as groups sweeping through. And I think there was a lot missed at that time. So yeah, it's a good. I remember when that was happening and everything was really low and they were cleaning up the lakes and going through, and especially LaBarge, Boulder, and those. Do you think the Dutchmen entered the mountains from the Salt River or from Queen Creek or both? I don't think we really know. I think when you take, and you have to stick with Julia Thomas and Reinhard Petrasch, if anybody. We do know they actually knew them. There's no doubt about it. And the problem is they seem to be coming in at the western end and trying to find their way in the mountains, whether it's through First Water or coming down around south where we know is Peralta Road area now. And they were kind of down by Hog Canyon, I think, originally a bit. And they know, but they didn't know anything about the mountains, and they were trying to go directionally to an area they weren't sure of. And the problem, I think, becomes whether they're trying to find First Water or the trails and stuff. So I think the people they were with were probably trying to tell them this is what he means. And I've always said that's one of the biggest problems is, other than what Jim Bark wrote that they kind of told him, and we don't have the actual interview or the notes he made. We have a manuscript where he talks about a lot of it. But it would be really interesting to see what Reinhardt in detail told him at first, because they were pretty frustrated. And I think that's the details. It sounds like more they were coming in from the western side, and who knows where Waltz crossed the Salt. It could have been right down by his house because he could have crossed it there. We don't quite know, and there's nothing, you're thinking Dick Holmes, and I generally don't do that. Hey, Wayne, I find it local news, improve it, the government will take, okay, I don't know, I didn't catch all that. But you're saying you found it and you told the local news, but the government took it? Or you're saying, will they take it? It's in the wilderness area. They're going to tell you can't do anything. So I had this discussion just yesterday, I think, where I said you can take two sample handfuls. Can't fill a backpack up with 80 pounds of ore, but you can take 2 handful samples of the prospect. So I would say find the best ore, 2 handfuls, maybe it's worth about 5-10 grand, and put it in your pack and take it out. Go back the next day or same day and continue repeat that process for 500 times or so and become very wealthy, because they can't stop you from repeatedly prospecting in the area and taking that ore. Now, whether you could dig and do some of the other stuff, I don't know. There are people who have illegally dug in the mountains. There's many people. I mean, sometimes people get on about a couple of people in particular. I won't name names, But of what they did in the mountains, my point being is they're not the only people that illegally dug in the mountains. There's a lot of people that did. There's a lot of people that got caught, and there are a lot of people that nobody's aware of, and none of them are living on a mansion in a hill, or the IRS is not shooting after them and stuff like that. So it is what it is, and I find it hard to believe any of those people would leave anything behind. So taking it for what it is. The government, if you declared it, you went to the news and declared stuff at all. If the right people got interested, yes, you'd be kind of warned off, probably fined, maybe arrested or jailed or something, or they would try to minimize you, find out where it was, and go in there and basically keep you out of the way. They did kind of the same thing with, I think his name was Charlie Williams, when he had the dental gold. Well, supposedly it was all dental gold and this and that, and they took the gold from him, and they made a huge stink about the poor guy, and it's kind of a shame because it wasn't his fault. He didn't find anything. He wasn't doing anything illegal. And it's happened to a couple people where they found something and they really didn't get to keep anything. They basically got kind of a railroaded into, as soon as it was gold and stuff. And this is back when you couldn't own gold. So now you can own gold. It'd be tough. I think you just better to keep your mouth shut. I think he went south on 16th Street, right up the Rio Salado. Rio Salado Parkway, kind of going that way. Yeah, go down 16th Street and go down across and go across and stuff. And, but that's also dependent if he was actually going out there after he moved there. Or did he make one or two trips? I don't think he was going out in the Superstitions when he came into Phoenix all the time. He had a farm going, and there was a lot of stuff happening, and you notice that there was someone squatting. Chenoweth, his name is. And then there's the Grijalva incident. And he seems to be home an awful lot for a guy that is off prospecting all the time. So I think he would have been there in the crops, and he was leasing property off, and he was older. So I think generally as a rule, by the time he's at 16th Street in Henshaw, 16th Street in Buckeye, he was building the Burger King that's there today. And he was serving burgers and shakes, but I joke. But anyways, when he was there at his farm, at his place, I don't think he was traveling in and out of the Superstition Mountains. It was just a location, and it just happened to be where there was property that he was able to settle on. I don't think he knew it was really the school property. I don't think there's much to work into that. I think he just took a piece of property that was between a number of people that he was associated and he knew who were German, and later it becomes the school property and all, and it never was going to be a school anyways. But that was his property, and I think it was very convenient. Well, everything back then was convenient. There was nothing blocking the view of the Superstitions. So I think that was it. But yeah, you got a good point of just moving across there. And we don't know the pathways and the different which ways people traveled to and from the mountains. There are people out there that are so-called experts that'll tell you that never lived here and didn't even know Phoenix before 1980 or 1970, but they'll tell you all kinds of stuff about it. Board House point out the trail over the mountains. Seems to look for the mine would be heart self-contained goal. Board House, yeah, and there's people that think it's the Milk Ranch down in Hewitt, and there's people that believe it's the Board House, Cavaness's place, which is the Quarter Circle U, and then there was another house that was further down from the Quarter Circle U that was called the Goat House or the Goat Ranch that Matt Cavaniss had, that had a mother-in-law house. He had his mother-in-law down there. We don't know where that. What's up? Not much. Talking. So, and that was east of the Quarter Circle U. Nobody's quite sure where it was. They said it was about a half mile to 3/4 mile east. I've been out there several times looking. It's been so long, and they've done so much building and changing and reutilizing material that there's no, you can walk all next 2 miles out, and you're going to find nails and stuff where they've built and rebuilt, moved stuff. I mean, just remember the Charlie Boy cabin was rebuilt at Bluff Springs and then later torn down, and in both locations you can still find nails and some debris from where it was located originally, and then it was taken down and then relocated, and I think pieces of the trough still at Bluff Springs are there. If ads say that it passed, like, God, man, that thing doesn't stay up there. There's got to be a setting where they can leave and these comments stay there long. They stay there long enough to try to get the first sentence in, and so we'll have to, I'm going to write this stuff down and then just try to do. Maybe that's what we'll do next Friday. I keep saying that and promising that. And today I even thought about it. See, I thought about it, and I don't get to it is because I'm busy and I'm thinking, yeah, I need to write down a bunch of that stuff. This stuff I haven't ever touched, or kind of that thing and kind of catch to. So today I'm doing better, but it's really hard because yeah, by the time you catch it, I'm talking, and then I get back and looking at the camera. Lots of well, I can catch that one, but yeah, by the time you can get focused back on the camera, and then you see it, and then you get in here and you start to read it because you're just trying to process that. Boom! Next thing you know is it's gone, and it's a bit frustrating. So, the board house, ranch house, seems like the question was about rain eroding, clues to the mine. I don't think the rain would erode much. Waltz, you got the Holmes version that he buried everything and stuff. One of the Peralta stories is that because it's in an arroyo, the mine is, it was a mess. Everything had been tumbling down, which that happens a lot in those. Through the rainfalls and stuff, things keep loading in big rainstorms. Everything floods through there. So, and I think the gentleman named Peralta, I'm trying to remember what book that is, but he said basically, it didn't look like anything like what he remembered as a boy. Is there any news Apache Trail opening? I think it was basically saying Fish Creek Hill opening. No, there's nothing there. They're still fighting over it. I don't think they've done anything. They're claiming they're waiting for the vegetation to grow back. Something, I don't know. I think once Apache Lake was done, they just didn't care. And they don't got any great treasures. Yeah, I got plenty. I got 3 kids. Ever been to the Dutchman? I don't know what that said. Okay, I don't know. You'd have to repeat it again, and I know people hate repeating that stuff because I'm trying to catch it. But great treasures. Yeah, my children are a treasure. Got a whole bunch of books that are treasure. I think anything in my life I enjoy, but as far as the big finds, some of them I've mentioned, some of them I've shown people in various videos and things that have happened. Dutchman Tubbs. I don't know what that means. There is no way that Waltz could have made it to the quarter circle ranch and into the mine in one day. Well, Waltz never said anything about one day, really. I say how different it would have been. Actually, if you were at the quarter circle U, I can make it to up Peter's Mesa, the top of Peter's Mesa, and back in the same day. No. And I'm walking. He had horses, so Waltz could have made it. No. That is, no, you could have made it. Because there was still the different, something of the trails and game trails and so forth. But I could make it from the quarter circle U in my heyday and stuff. No problem. Could have made it up Peter's Mesa and then back out. In fact, Randy Wright and I had made it as far as we'd made it to Charlie Boy and back out to the parking lots, either at First Water or Peralta in the same day. So very much possible. You can travel from the north to the south into the Superstitions in a single day. Done it many times, so no, you can. And it depends. If you know your route and exactly where you're going, that's very, very possible. How was it leading the guys with the stubborn West as well? I don't know. The guys with the stubborn, I don't know if I caught that right. How was it leading the guys, the stubbornness? I don't know what that meant. Is it like you're talking about DeLille and Magnuson and Frank and Woody, which was early on me rolling my eyes a lot. Good afternoon from Kansas City, Missouri. Hey, Kansas City, good barbecue there. Unexplained, unexplored, those guys. They were nice guys. They spent a lot of time sitting in their SUV, trimming up their beards. They had these little razors, and they would be filming. And I don't know how much you can trim up your beard. I don't even like to shave every day. But they would do this. They would take and trim little pieces of their beard and stuff, and lines and stuff. And they were always in there, like, doing that. They would hang in there until it was time to film, and then they would come out. When we filmed Legends, we would grab something to eat and sit in there and smoke and sleep. Thanks for the response, brother, and keep the videos coming. Okay, I don't know what I responded to, but you're more than welcome. But those guys, yeah, they were a little difficult, but they had a lot of energy because they were just kind of coming out to hang with me and then they would blow up this big energy, and then they would go back. What reason makes people interested in Tortilla Flat area? Tortilla Flat area is a very, very interesting area. Once you get up into Tortilla Flat and go east along the river, there's so much out there. There's a lot of history out there going out into Horse Mesa and Black Cross Butte and Mesquite Flats. That whole area, and then going into Tortilla Flat, into the canyons, back into the Superstitions. If you haven't been down those canyons, you haven't spent time back in there, there's all kinds of stuff to find. There's a lot of presence. There's a lot of mining activity, prospecting activity. I'm for one that wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in Fish Creek Canyon along Horse Mesa or somewhere, I don't know about Mesquite Flats, there would have been a presence of someone early there. But as far as Waltz is concerned, I wouldn't be surprised, because there's so much of that area that fits what he was talking about, and it doesn't make sense, and it's not where you would look for a mine and so forth, but you're always surprised at what you find in there. And there were arastras back in there. There were a lot of things back in there, and there is gold back in there. And it doesn't seem like a mineralized zone because it's outside the third caldera. It doesn't make sense. It's not a place you would pick. But to me, that's always that thing that you always find something that makes you go, okay, I didn't expect that. It makes you rethink it. There's been an awful lot of gold found up and down Fish Creek from the mid to northern areas of Fish Creek and stuff. And like I said, Frank and I spent a lot of time in there, and we were always just puzzled, because saying, well, this can't be the Dutchman thing. And we kept finding records and pieces of information and prospecting signs of people who had prospected in there. And we found silver back in there, and we found gold back in there. So it's really hard to say. I know Mitch Waite found those Stone Corral and some stuff, and there's some people that Jim Bark and Sims Ely said there were the bones of a lot of mules and stuff up on Horse Mesa. So there's a lot there. Well, get to say hello. I'd like to walk out there in the field and talk. Yeah, and that's always a cool thing too. Come out to the rendezvous, because you're always out there, you're close, you're in the wilderness area when you're there, and you can kind of get yourself situated around. There's plenty of good people to talk to. There'll be always plenty of good people to talk to and get you oriented and tell you about great trips to get in, to get your feet wet, kind of get things going. And then hear our perspectives. And that's one of the reasons I tell the stories and do what I do, is people kind of learn that, okay, just take your time, grow into it, learn from other people's mistakes, but kind of get interested and kind of set up into it, and all. Be smarter than the rock has a lot to say for that phrase. Be a lot smarter than the rock. You smell what the rock's cooking? Okay. I didn't catch it. See, that's one of the problems sometimes, is people type things and I don't quite catch it, because we're moving from topic to topic so fast. But the Kindle version of Exploring the Superstitions by John Anorama, I have not had a chance to read it yet. Well, good luck and enjoy. True Even. I will always say, by Sims Ely, by Barry Storm, by The Curse of the Dutchman, by Helen Corbin. And there's a prospector that found gold in Teal Small World. Okay. Well, anyways, a lot of people, went to the Red Hills. I remember there was someone made the argument that, and I think it was Clay said, Brownie Holmes said it was red spots on these things, not red hills, and that's the Brownie Holmes version of the Dick Holmes version of the Jacob Waltz. And there was a big argument that the three red hills, the person that brought up that information and shared it then later tried to argue with me, the three red hills are the most important clues of the Dutchman. Okay, but you just tried to completely change that and said it was three spots on the side of a hill. It was just red areas and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there's plenty of those in the mountains. There's a lot of hills that are reddish colored too. It's not like there's only one set in the entire mountains. Go down Fish Creek, catch Midway in Fish Creek. There's red hills everywhere. So, I don't know. So, the whole red hills thing is okay. Get in the Superstitions, find yourself a high arroyo in a north-south trending canyon, go down in that slope, and then find yourself a pit. And it's kind of a slightly funneled, angled pit, and you get down in there, right? Waltz's camp is not just a short way. There's some more buried there. You'll find some signs of something of his camp. According to Dick Holmes, he left his shovel and pickaxe and everything up there. If Reinhardt and Julia looked in the western end, wonder why Herman went coffee. Herman did not. Herman searched a lot of places. Herman spent most of his entire career searching in and around Bluff Springs Mountain, Needle Canyon, and LaBarge. Don't let anyone tell you different. He was partners with George Collenborn, Tom's dad. They searched extensively around Bluff Springs Mountain. It's in diaries and journals. Bob Garman's book, he was searching before Herman's death. Herman was sending them out. They were searching out by Bluff Springs Mountain and LaBarge and Needle Canyon. That is one of those things I've always told everyone is, because you see it in a book and someone has a theory of Peter's Mesa or Coffee Flat and says they were hunting there, I have found time and time again Herman spent significant time always around Bluff Springs Mountain. I don't know why, what he thought, but he was very, very interested in that mountain and those areas, and it's in every journal and diary I've ever read, and the time comes when these people are no longer and I have the permission to print that stuff. It just bores out. But you can read books where it actually tells you where these people were, which you know where Herman and Reinhardt and them were initially. It was up in Needle Canyon. So again, there's just this, it's problematic that we get in our heads about certain things. You're a history book on 2 feet. You get to be that. The fact that I can retain stuff, which I feel blessed by, which is something that Clay Wurst has been able to do, which is very important to be able to remember these little details. And it takes a long time because you read all these books, and then you hear all these things, and then you read stuff in certain books, and then you start going back and reading because you're questioning things. And that's how the stuff with Herman is. I kept going, well, I kept knowing Herman's. How come everybody's saying Herman's here, Reinhardt's here, when I'm finding every piece of information, everything in the archives, I'm finding they're here. And that was kind of what it did for me. Prospecting, what's up, David? Hey, not Dave. Dave's not here. So anyhow, so yeah, generally, Coffee Flat was very popular, and Walter Gassler, I know, was up in there a little bit. John Shooting was up there a lot. Abe Reed was, but Abe Reed was all over the place. They choose stuff like the bark notes. Dutchman, yeah, bark notes are awesome. Not much. Okay, you guys are having your own conversation. But bark notes are a great resource. I wish we had the Spangler family information and details, not the Simzili family, but the Spangler stuff. And I don't know who holds all that. Thomas Glover might know. And I don't know how much of that stuff they let anybody really go in depth. Or, you know, it could have been missing someone in the family or something could have happened. I don't know what John Spangler had specifically. But I will tell you this. The last mines and claims that John Spangler was setting because he was out there with Al Reeser were where? Where can I get bank notes? Where can you get banknotes? At the bank. There you go. But the last place they were finding that, Lena Sears, which was Jim Bark's wife's name. Yes, John Spangler, who inherited all of Jim Bark's information, was searching and called his mind the Lena Sears, and that claim that him and Al Reeser were on, it was on Bluff Springs Mountain. So there you go, full circle again. And banknotes. Yes, banknotes. Banknotes are like dollar bills are banknotes. Euros are banknotes. Notes are any type of paper money, generally, as a rule. You can get those at banks. There you go. I don't know how much clearer to be than that. I'm not an expert on banknotes, but okay. Bark. Yep, Jim Bark. James Bark. Bark. Yes, James Bark. Yes, he ran for sheriff. You know, in the Quarter Circle U Ranch. He sold it to Tex Barkley. He wrote the notes. Is it the, oh, where can I get the bark notes? Sorry. Took forever. Okay, see, I'm a walking history book on 2 books that needs edited or corrected at times. The state, the Burton Bar Public Library, down at the downtown Phoenix has a copy. It's called the Probert version. The Probert version is kind of an edited, annotated version. It's pretty much most of the notes, with a little bit of correction on his part. It wasn't really messed up. Rose Court, I found gold and rose. There's a lot of Rose Quartz gold. Cool. Couldn't be the Dutchman. Well, yeah, but if it's that, you know, hey, freaking go find more quartz and get some gold. But there's a copy there that you can make. You can make copies. If you can get into the archives, make an appointment with Greg Davis. Remember this name, Gregory Davis, and he is the archivist, and he has copies of those, and you can go down there and pay to have them made for yourself when you go visit. Make an appointment and visit the archives if you're a serious Dutch hunter. I have tried to make them and get them out to people. I always forget. I'm surprised nobody really just doesn't make like 20, 30 copies and then put them in the museum or just start giving away. We had discs of them that we were giving away. I did for a while. So you could just have a couple discs and you could have all the bark notes because it covers so much different stuff. And I know a couple people have printed up editions. I have a couple editions where people have printed up. They're not publications. They were just compiled by someone privately to be more handy for us to go through and so forth. But yeah, and there's a few different versions, but the versions, there's nothing in the versions that's that much different that if you have one version or the other, Al Reeser's version to this version or that version, it really matters or means anything. If you have an original Al Spangler version, it's not much different than the Al Reeser version. And sometimes things are in a different order because they just didn't have them in the right order to begin with. There was things additionally added and they're not numbered. So it depends where that person kind of compiled and put them together. So I would say the archives, but Probert, you can always get it at the Burton Barr Library at the Arizona room. And I know they usually do it. They're only open certain times or by appointment, but you can get a copy, make that copy from there. That wasn't my first copy. My first copy came from someone in the 80s, late 80s, and someone, or mid 80s, someone gave me a copy. Asked me, told me about them, and I just got lucky. Ended up with a copy of them, and it was on that old kind of slicker copy paper. I don't even know if I have that original copy that someone gave me because I think I made a copy of it because I didn't like the paper. But yeah, I remember I got that, and then later I got another one, and there wasn't much difference between them. It would be a great conversation from our make them in multi-parts, boys. Because if you put them up on one big post, you posted it, and then it doesn't stay there very long. So, but anyways, yeah, that's where you can find the bark notes. I don't think, and Helen Corbin's Bible had the Adolph Ruth notes, the Tuning notes, the Deering, Jacob Waltz. I think there might be a couple other things like Wiley and a couple of the others. There's a lot, the notes have a lot of short chapters and short stories about the superstitions that are generally not published and stuff. She published a lot of that, but that book's almost impossible to find. And there's not Helen's fault, not Bob Corbin's fault, but other people's fault. There's a ton of disinformation and BS in those books that was found later. And that person should be very ashamed of themselves. People that do that should be ashamed of themselves because it was a very nice book and there was a lot of great stuff about that book that we lost because of someone else's BS. Out of the Blue is Louise. Okay, send that again because I don't know how to get this and I'm not going to mess with it. Is Louise. Out of the Blue is Louise. Louis, are you talking about Louis at the Bluebird? If you're talking about Louis at the Bluebird, he passed away about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I got word of that. Someone called me. Who talked to me? Might have been Shoes. I think, was it Shoes? Yeah, well, I think it was Shoes. I think Shoes let me know. See, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember who it was, but someone let me know that Louis passed away. So, yeah, Louis who ran, and son of, I'm just kind of suddenly got lost there, but I'm trying to think of too many things at once, but yeah, Louis, I found Center's Gold, and I paid my airfare back to the East Coast. Well, you should have got more than that. This is Alan. Okay, hey, Alan. So you found Center's Gold. Cool. So Center's Gold would be the gold that came from the Mammoth, I believe, yes. So that should be easy to authenticate because Bob Shoes and Ron Feldman could authenticate that completely because it all has its own little DNA look imprint, and using an XR gun, you could just, and it'll all be perfect. Yeah, Picajo Peak. Yep, Picajo Peak stands out. There's nothing there for me. There was a battle there, though, once. Big Gold Mines did the Peralta's work. The claim is 9, I think, and most of the time they say there's 9. Herman said there was 9. I think a number of the stories there was 9. Most of the time when you get a Peralta family member or descendant talk, they said they had mines. They don't put a specific number. But I don't know who I don't know if it was from Julia Reinhardt or Herman or Gottfried or one of them early on, kind of put the 9 number to it. Most of the time that a Peralta came into the mountains and talked about some of the family's mines, they just talk in plural. I don't think they put a specific number on it. And of course, there's no records. Now, Jim Bark did go to Spain and search for records, and that's why I always thought the Spangler family might have notes of what he looked at back at that time. Trevor was in Spain and looking at records, and that would always be interesting to find any of the Peralta stuff that was connected to possibly this area. How far can you see that peak from the wilderness? You're talking Picajo Peak? I don't think you can see Picajo Peak. You're talking Pinnacle Peak? Pinnacle Peak, you can see Weaver's Needle from Pinnacle Peak. I don't think you can see Pinnacle Peak from the Superstitions unless you're outside the Superstitions. It's a caldera. It's a caldera. It's a volcano. So it's kind of down in. And when you see Weaver's Needle from like Pinnacle Peak, it's because it's in the caldera, but it sticks up really high outside of it. So you kind of looking down in the bowl and see it. But when you're in the bowl, you can't see out. As far as Picajo Peak, going south to Tucson, you can't see that from the Superstitions. You could be on the main mountain, maybe very high at the highest peak, and I don't know if with the eye if you could see it that far, because that's halfway between Phoenix and Tucson, south of Casa Grande, and it might stick out because it's so nothing out there. Correct. Found center's gold in a burlap style rotted bag. Okay, well, that'd be an interesting story. I mean, we should just share it in detail and stuff, where kind of the area and so forth and all that. Yeah, was it over the ledge? Because they found his horse and his body, and I don't know if they found a mule or where it was, but I know the area where they found the body and so forth. Bob Corbin and Tom Collenborn were able to find his body. There was no sign of any ore or bags or anything there, so they figured it either he hadn't got to it and it was still stashed, or the mule went over, or something happened to that kind of deal. Thank you, Wayne. So kind of covered a lot. I actually answered questions today. I feel like that was useful somehow. History book on 2 feet, 2 large feet. Man, and we've been almost 48 minutes. We've been flying through this. So, but yeah, it was good stuff about the bark notes and a lot of that stuff. Earthquake collapsed these mines? No, I don't think the earthquakes had much, because there's mines that have been around since time began, very, very old mines, and they're still open. Does anyone know the route the old timers took from Prescott to the Agua Fria? Oh, I don't know, from Phoenix, going through Phoenix and all that, it's Senator Highway. What's going to happen to the Bluebird? The person that owns it's going to continue to run it. Louis didn't own the Bluebird, someone else owned it. What's his name, Fran? I think his name's Fran. He's there running it right now. So no, he was running it. So the Bluebird, it continues to be open. I was down and visited with him and talked to him and all. So the Bluebird is open. Got cleaned up and straightened up a bit and all that, and went by and made a couple visits. So Bluebird continues to open. Has it recovered from the big fire? No, it's not going to recover or anything from the big fire for a long, long time. Hewitt Canyon and all that. No, the where the fire went through and it kind of worked through, it's going to be many, many years. I think there was a Stoneman military trail. But I'm talking, yeah, up from Prescott, you can kind of go up on the west side of Phoenix. You can go up through New River and all that way, and then you got the Senator Highway that goes to Prescott. I'm sure there's different paths and ways, and you can find maps. I'm sure you can find different trails. Just look at the current roads. Most every time we build a road, it follows a road. So if there's a road in existence going to Prescott, it follows a road. And the only reason we don't use some of the older or more direct roads is we found it was quicker and flatter to get around a different route, because it takes quite a ways and time to go from Phoenix down up through Crown King and up into Prescott on the Senator Highway. And the ATV guys don't make it any easier, because they're flying around not paying attention. They come around the corners and you got to stop all the time waiting for them, because they're a bunch of buttheads. Right, cavalry trail. So, I don't know, the cavalry, but horse trail. But I think everybody used all the same trails, whether they were trade trails, packing trails, Indian trails, trade routes, and so forth. Not LD news, but still fun. Do you hear of the shipwreck story today? No, I haven't really. I don't catch much news up until the weekend and that kind of stuff. What happened to the waterfall fountain? I don't know. What's the waterfall fountain? Thank you. We love you, Wayne. Well, thank you. And Stagecoach Trail. And there's a bunch of those. I mean, the I-17 follows pretty much the stagecoach trails of what they would have followed, which was and I don't think they were stagecoaches most of the time. They were what do you call them? The guys that ran the trade routes. Did Tom ever? God, I wish I would have caught that because it probably was interesting. But the freighters. The freighters ran a lot of those old trails, and eventually they had to change up because the freighters rutted them so bad you couldn't do anything with them, and then they just moved them and found a flatter, much more direct path later. It's just kind of in Helena shop, that fountain, the soda fountain thing. I don't know what happened to it. I don't think anybody. I think it probably got sold to the next owner, or they probably got. Well, she sold it to whoever picked up that, which I think some people believe was. You guys had the other ice cream shop on 7th Avenue. I'm trying to remember their name. The neon. I can picture the neon sign in my memory. But they had an ice cream kind of soda fountain shop, and it was really well known at the turn of the century. And they might have bought it because it was pretty new and big and fangled. What is the airspeed velocity of a Lennon Swallow? 22 miles an hour. But you made it. There we go. 22.7 miles per hour when the wind's coming from the east when it's wet after a shower. Using Head & Shoulders body shampoo. So there you go. And we're getting silly now. Ever find any platinum? No, I had an argument with someone else who argues that there's platinum. Someone found platinum and they told me where the platinum's supposed to be, and they're still trying to relocate where the platinum was, and I kind of know some of the details on it, but I don't think there was any platinum there or anything of any significant amount. Part of my doubts in these stories that involved Chuck Crawford. So there you go. There becomes part of the problem. Did Tom ever talk to you about a cave in Springs Bluff? Yeah, I know a lot about that stuff. I talked about it. I actually did. I did talked about the cave that his dad found and stuff. There's the Cave of the Thousand Eyes that is down in Haunted Canyon. There's the Altar Cave, Malmorals, which we did a video on. There's the Cave of the Bronze Cross. There's a cave by Weaver's Needle. There's the two-room cave in the south end of Bluff Springs Mountain that had mining tools and stuff that his dad found in the 1920s. Tom found a lot of caves, a lot of stuff back in those mountains. And I talked to Tom quite a bit, and I got a lot of stuff on that stuff. Some of it I can't share because those are places we're protecting. Thanks again. Stay cool. The Cuckoo Jake has to go. But yeah, some places I tell the story, and I kind of try to tell the story to share what I can on certain things to a degree. Some of those stories and some of that information is shared information between myself and Randy Wright that Tom entrusted us with. Some sites, it's just, I know there's myself and several other people who will go unnamed. We're very aware of there. I think sometimes we maybe not all know all the same sites, but we know different individual ones. And I always hold to it that Tom, I believe, let some of us know some places just so that someone would carry on that thing. So Trevor will. Hidden Arroyo. Okay, I didn't catch that. What is the possibility the Apaches hid the gold in an underground cavern in a canyon lake? There's a lot said that they hid a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff was found when they were doing the dams. Do you remember Weldon Stables? No, I don't. My friend Ted found the 1.7 ounce nuggets near Bull Pass. Yeah, that would be cool. I found Ted in 1.7 at Bull Pass. That would be very cool to find that. I know I keep some of the journals and some material I'm finding more and more you cut out, but more and more I'm finding places that people found gold. So I'm starting to kind of keep track of that because a lot of times you just miss things or things are, and I'm just starting to go through old journals and diaries like for the third or fourth time. And now that I'm older, I'll be more patient, and I'm kind of like going, why didn't I ever catch that there? Why didn't I ever catch this here? And I'm learning about a number of places where people found gold. They didn't find it like digging out of the ground. They found it where people had cached it. So that's very cool and all that stuff. We're kind of running out of time here because we almost put in the hour, and I always figure I'll put in 45 minutes to an hour, even though I only do 15 to 20 minutes on the Chasing Legends stuff and everything else. So but I figure, okay, it's a special thing, and I'm doing it for Trevor. I think the picture's better. It's sharper this time. Frank won't yell at me like, what the hell were you doing? Which, Frank, the problem was I didn't wipe off my lens on my camera. And I did today, but I don't know if it was still dirty before I did this. Celeste Jones map it is. Thanks, Wayne, you're the best. We all run out of time, not German. I never run out of time. I'm in a time loop. I mean, if you come back here in an hour, you'll see I'm just going to repeat this all again. And I'll be there for the next forever repeating it in the magical little place called YouTube. Glad you're still, okay. So, but there we go, all that stuff. I hope I answered everybody's questions. I do promise this is we'll do something, and what I'll break down is a lot of questions, and then I'll have Trevor do them, and maybe what I'll do is I'll try to directly just answer question instead of doing live. I'll do one where we put down the question, and if I realize I didn't get to any of the stuff, I'll try to directly answer them and stuff, and kind of do that. That might be cool. And we want to do the one with maps too, where people always say we want to see where these places are and stuff like that. Reverb Rocks. That would be a cool place. A place name of someone in the mountains. Echoplex, Reverb Rocks. That would be very cool. See, we need to rename the mountains. Names like that, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Crybaby Canyon. Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. Okay. Thank you for sharing your experiences, stories. Brings a lot to the people. Well, I just do it because people like Tom, and I know, a lot of guys did it, and they just, Clay can't get out there and do this stuff. He's not going to suddenly pop up on YouTube and have a YouTube account. Flange Cave, I got here late. Can you start over? It will start over. Once I sign off, guess what? It'll load it. It'll start all over. And that's the kind of the beauty of doing this stuff and then loading it back up and doing it again. And it kind of stays there forever till I finally sit there one day and say, hey, I found it. And I want everybody to forget where I'm at. I need to get out of here, get out of town. Great video. Thanks, Wayne. Okay, thank you for everybody. Thank you for doing all this stuff. We are coming down to that loopy part where it's been an hour. Are you out? Travel plans this summer. And effing game trail. That's a good one. But plans this summer, stay cool, do lots of research, prepare for everything. We got film to do. We got archival film to process. So there's a lot of stuff like that to do. I want to get some work done on the car. I want to do this and do that. There's a lot of things. Prepare for the rendezvous. So summer will be a lot of preparation and just chilling in the pool. Do you know what language the Celeste Jones map? I don't know anything about the Celeste Jones map. I'm going to have to refresh myself on that because I know Celeste Jones had a lot of different stuff. I don't know your Julia Thomas map, maybe? Because Celeste Jones map, I don't know what map she had and who would have posted it. Sikorsky? I have to familiarize myself with that. I'm not a big Celeste Jones person. Do you preserve as much and keep? Yes, I have boxes and bins and everything, and I try to preserve and I try to digitize as much as I can and go through the archives and back up the archives that I can. So if something ever happened to the archives, I could save a lot of its stuff. I have bookshelves full of everything I possibly can directly to the Dutchman. I don't collect much of the fiction stuff, but the non-fictional books and stuff like that, I try to. And try to have multiple copies. And then I basically have bins of folders and stuff. An interview process. I have a lot of digital interviews from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s of Dutch hunters. And now we're working on film and video collections. So I'm trying to process all that. So someday we might have a website and online have an experience like, which was what this is kind of in YouTube, but an experience where you can see all this stuff. So you can see, and there's not Herman Petrash interview online, but so you can see people talk. So I'm trying to catch this stuff in 8mm in different formats so you can see these things and preserve them. The Ohm lives on. So there you go. And everything goes to 11. So that being said and done, thank you everybody for joining us. I hope I was entertaining as possible. I think I answered your questions, did a better job. How well does the Splash English? I don't know what that meant. And sometimes I feel so stupid because it's been so long and I'm really tired. Message retracted. Okay. I don't know what the message was, so you didn't have to retract it. But okay, so I'm going to be done with things, get myself off, rest up. It's pizza night here in Arizona. So going to have pizza, have all my children together again finally. So it's kind of nice. Enjoy the pool. I do have work to do out in the heat this weekend, but for the most part, I'm going to chill, start working on some of these things I just mentioned, these other different projects and stuff, and continue on those and updating people on that stuff. Everybody decided to talk at once. I was baking cakes. So have a good night. Don't be a stranger. It says the map given by Al Newman to Jones. Al Newman. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. There's Al Newman. Yes, I don't remember anything from Sikorsky or Bob Corbin. Louis. I don't know. Most of the people I know connected with Celeste Jones. I don't know. Who Celeste Jones map. I know there's some stuff, people have sent me a map stuff leading up into Coffee Flat and stuff with Celeste Jones, but that's for other things, not necessarily mine. I know she thought the Jesuit treasure was in Weaver's Needle. I know there's one of that. It's really weird about where she thought they were going in and out of Weaver's Needle, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. So anyways, thank you everybody. I keep saying thank you like I'm leaving and I'm not. Be well from the Treasure Coast. Well, from the Sonoran Desert Mountains in central Arizona, and from the Superstitions. Thank you everybody for joining us this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for always staying in here, hanging in and watching all our videos and everything. We try to entertain you if nothing else, and we try to be, most of all, try to be honest as possible, because I'm probably one of the few people that just says I don't know pretty often. I don't know what you're talking about, or I don't quite know and whatnot. So that being said and done, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for joining us again. Looking forward to see everybody Monday when I'm not live. It'll be nice for a change. And we'll be back into kind of telling you a story, giving you some history and stuff, and getting back into that. The camera will look better. I'll probably be in the dark, and there'll be annoying music underneath me because we'll change it all up because Trevor will be back. But it doesn't matter. It's a joy to have him back, isn't it? Eating my food, taking up space in my house, and piling up laundry on the floor. What else could I want? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully it's not as hot there as it is here. And until the next time, you got it. You know it. I'm Wayne Tuttle. You're not. And this was not Chasing Legend. This is Legend of the Superstition Mountains in a special edition, and good down, holding down the fore. And I'm Wayne, not you too, and whatever. And we're just all over the place. And you have a great weekend. To see you, Wayne. And I'm going to push that button when I can find it. I got the button, and here comes the finger. And how come it's like you don't get to see the finger actually hit the thing? Anyways, all right, everybody have a good one. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Until Monday, I'll see you again. Take care.